Hi, I'm Megan Price, and welcome to the NBA Carousel, a Sideline Sports Network production, proudly sponsored by Score No Score app, available for download in Apple and Google Play Store. Also sponsored by Manscaped, and check out the Inscriber online magazine where you can get all your culture, technology, and sports news provided by Sideline Sports. But let's jump right into the show. We have our first guest, Jordan Long, covering the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets.
Hey, Megan.
Hey, Jordan, how are you?
I'm good.
Awesome, awesome. So, interesting week in the NBA. Last night's game against the Hornets with the Suns was really interesting. I say interesting, it was a blowout, but I love that poster that y'all had. You had campaign all over Plumlee. That was pretty exciting, right?
It was, and the thing is we didn't even have our two best big men in McGee and Aiton. They were out with health and safety protocols, but it was nice to see our bench and of course Booker and Paul doing their thing. But I mean, it's nice to see that we have depth in our depth chart.
Absolutely. Also, this week, you guys played the Celtics, OKC, and the Grizzlies. Let's start with the Grizzlies. It was a close game, but the Grizzlies ended up coming out on top on Monday, 114 to 113. John Morant put on a pretty big performance that game. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, if you look at the game, we were down in the fourth quarter, 75-89. You can't do that, especially to Memphis, who is a playoff team. But we outscored them 38-25, and we actually had a slim 113-112 lead with 5.1 seconds left. And they gave the ball to their best player, who actually was double teamed, but for whatever reason, John Morant was able to score down low. You can't have that. But I was proud with the way we played. I know it wasn't a win, but we actually limited them. But still, you can't. There's no stopping John Morant. 32 points. But Booker had 30 points, double for Chris Paul, Cameron Johnson 19 points, Bridges 10 points, and actually JaVale McGee stepped in for DeAndre Ayton. That was actually the first game that Bridges missed DeAndre Ayton missed because of health and safety protocols. But their bench didn't do much, but with 18 points by Memphis, 35 for us, but still, you have to guard John Morant. Can't have him have the ball, and that's exactly what happened at the end.
Absolutely. And then there was also somebody else who had almost just as many points as John Morant and Desmond Bain, which was kind of a surprising up and comer this season. We do see him in the lineup or in the points, but not usually quite that much. Jaren Jackson kind of had a slow night, so I think Bain just kind of picked up the slack there.
He did, but again, if you have to limit both of those players, and we did not, and that's basically what ultimately cost us. Yeah, we tried to come back in that fourth, but still, they got the ball into the hands of their best player, and that's what you get.
Absolutely. And moving on to Wednesday, you guys played OKC and came out on top 115-97, a comfortable win. And then you played the Celtics, which that ended up being a pretty big blowout. It was 123 to 108, not necessarily a blowout, but a pretty high scoring game for the Celtics. And then, like we talked about already, the Charlotte Hornets. Coming up this week, you guys are going to be playing the Pelicans tomorrow, the Clippers on Thursday, and then Miami on Saturday. Thoughts on any of those games?
Well, New Orleans, they still don't have Zion Williamson, so that'll help a little bit. Clippers still a great shooting team, and then the Heat's probably going to be our hardest game because they still have Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero who can put up points. You have to play defense against the Heat and the Clippers, another good shooting team. But I could actually see a 2-1 or even a 1-2 week, especially with Clippers and the Heat.
And how important is that for your seeding right now? Like, are you worried about keeping up that good of a win-loss record compared to Golden State, or are you okay with falling back a few games?
At this point right now, seeding isn't that important, but we definitely would like to be the number one seed because, like we've seen, but with Golden State and us, it's basically the home court that's mattered. So once we get down to the stretch, it will matter. But right now, as long as we're in a 2 or 3 game gap there, we'll be fine.
Understandable. All right, let's slide over to your other team this week. We have the Denver Nuggets. What's going on with them?
Well, they beat Golden State on Tuesday. Actually, it was a tale of two halves. Nuggets scored 60 points in the first half and limited Golden State to 36 points. But the fact of the matter is Golden State came back in that second half, outscoring us 50-39. And what was interesting about this game is it came down to really the last shot that it really shouldn't have because Franco Campazzo had a chance to ice the game with 2.5 seconds left, missed one of two. So it was a 3-point game. And actually, I liked what we did on defense. We basically guarded the perimeter, and we didn't let Steph Curry hit the shot to try to tie the game. And we actually had Andre Iguodala try to make it. Didn't happen. But if you really look at it, we knew Jokic did his thing, 22 points and 19 rebounds. Barton added 21 points. Curry, though, he did Curry things, had 23 points. Andrew Wiggins, 21 points. And basically the bench was the difference in this game. If you really look at it, the Nuggets had 26 points, Golden State 15. But what I liked is, we've seen Golden State score 15 to 18 threes. They only had 10. So I was actually pretty proud by the effort on the defense. But we turned the ball over way too many times, and that's how Golden State stayed in the game.
Right. What I'm looking at is really interesting. You guys ended up winning 89-86, so an extremely low scoring game, but despite being outscored both the third and the fourth quarter, you guys still managed to win. So, you guys had quite a bit of lead on Golden State, and they were able to come back a little bit, but just couldn't pull it off. So, but good victory for you guys. And then moving on Saturday, you guys beat the Rockets 124-111. Any thoughts on that game?
It was the start that was not very impressive by us. We were down 15-4 with 7:10 left, and then just outscored them there. What I liked is that Bull, who we haven't seen very much, for whatever reason, Mike Malone doesn't like to play him, but actually it was Popeye Jones, that our assistant coach, that was our coach because Mike Malone was out for health and safety protocols. He actually played him, and I actually was excited to see him. He had 11 points. So I'd like to see the Nuggets play a little bit more of Bull.
One of those rare Bull sightings. I do like, he has a few fans out there like that. Like, it's nice to see him getting the rotations. You guys play the Mavericks tonight, and then you play the Jazz on Wednesday. Friday, you play the Kings, and then Sunday, you play OKC. Any thoughts on those games?
Well, I think, honestly, the toughest game is going to be Utah. Tonight's going to be tough because they have Luka Doncic, but I know Kristaps Porzingis for Dallas is out for health and safety protocols. But, with the Utah Jazz, you know what you're going to get. They have good shooters who can shoot the perimeter, drive in the lane, and Donovan Mitchell, Bogdanovic, Rudy Gay, and, of course, Rudy Gobert. That's going to be one interesting matchup down low between Rudy Gobert and Nikola Jokic. It's just who's going to box out the most is probably going to end up winning this game with those two, especially with the boards.
Absolutely agree. Rudy Gay, despite his age, is still just super valid in the league. Former San Antonio Spur, we loved having him there, and he kind of revitalized his career there in San Antonio, and he's still playing great. So absolutely somebody you have to watch right there. Now, whenever he first came into the league, he was more of a power forward, and now I would say he kind of trimmed down his weight, and he's more of a small forward now, but definitely still has a presence there in the lane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and we've seen with the Nuggets, even if it's not the 3-point shooting for the opponents, they can still lose a guy right in the lane. And that's exactly what Rudy Gay can do. You can't allow him to get hot. Same with Donovan Mitchell or Bogdanovic, and like I said, Rudy Gobert down low.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, Gobert's the reigning defensive player of the year. So definitely somebody that you have to watch out for. And I definitely think that Mavericks game is going to be interesting. They do have whenever, even if with Porzingis out, they do have some other players that are able to step in. We have Boban, who can be in that center role right there. And while he's not a consistent shooter, he still, has some big games. And so this could be one of those games.
Well, exactly. And we know with the Nuggets, they're either hot and cold. I mean, it just depends on if their defense is going to show up and help with their offense, like we saw in Golden State. If they come out like they did in the second half, this could be a long game against Dallas.
Absolutely. Well, you guys moved up in the standings. You're at the number 5 seed, and your record right now is 18-16. So you've gotten above that little 500 mark, and have a little bit of more cushion than you did compared to the last time you talked about the Nuggets. So good luck on your games this week on both teams, and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Thank you, Megan. You can find me at SportsScoop1 on Twitter. I'm also on the NFL Carousel on Thursday nights, representing the Denver Broncos, of course, here on the NBA Carousel, doing the Suns for the most part, and I switch off the Denver Nuggets with Cool McCain. And you can read my blog that I write Mondays through Fridays at sports-scoop.com.
Thanks, Jordan. We'll see you next week. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and slide over to our next representative. We have Will Vogel covering the Charlotte Hornets. Hi, Will.
Hey, Megan. Hey, Megan.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So talk to me about your team. I know last night was a blowout, but the 2 games before that, you were able to catch the W's. We knew that game with the Suns was going to be pretty difficult, and almost kind of already counted it for an L. But your other games, you guys came out on top. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, we beat the Rockets as I expected. All 5 starters were in double digits, and Oubre, again, has had a great bench presence. He had 18 points off the bench, and we shot 53.4% from the field. So getting all 5 starters in double digits is really nice.
Awesome. That score on that game ended up being 123-99. And then you guys turn around on Wednesday and played the Pacers. You guys won that 116-108. Any thoughts on that game?
It was a good game. Rozier had 35 points, Ball had a double-double, and Oubre kept doing his bench role. And, the team's looking pretty darn good right now. So I'm happy.
Absolutely. And you guys are playing the Wizards currently. It's halftime. You're up 64-56. So a little bit of a lead and going into the third quarter pretty soon. Any thoughts on that game?
I was actually just looking up the game. Hayward has 15 points already, and Bridges already has a double-double. So if we can keep up the good play, we should win that game. I'm pretty sure Montrezl Harrell's not playing in that game. I think he's in health and safety or something's going on with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see, he doesn't have any minutes.
I think it was health and safety last time I read.
And so this year we've seen a little bit of a decline in Bertans over there in Washington. And it kind of just seems like, Kyle Kuzma has 15 points. Bradley Beal has 15 points. They don't really have that third option like that, like you guys have over, the points are a little more spread around on your roster. Did y'all feel much of a difference when you didn't have Bridges in the roster?
I think we did. Bridges has played awesome this year. He's leading our team in points, and he's a borderline. Like he's turning into a superstar. I'm not saying he's a superstar yet. He's a rising star is the correct term I think you can use for him. He's having a resurgent year, and I'm happy we brought him back. Hopefully we can retain him next year. I think his contract ends or something like that. But, he's performing well. I remember I've told you this multiple times. People used to think, he's just a dunker and a rebounder, but he's expanded his game to three-point shooting and a jump shot. Like, he's definitely grown as a player.
Absolutely. So to finish out the week, you guys play the Pistons on Wednesday, and that's a home game for you guys. And then you have a back-to-back with the Bucks, and both of those are home games for you guys. So Saturday you play, and then Monday you also play the Bucks. So, kind of an easy start to the week, but then it finishes out tough. Thoughts on the Milwaukee series?
It's going to be really tough. it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's probably going to drop a bunch of points on us. They got Chris Middleton. They got Drew Holiday. They got Bobby Portis. They got great role players on that team. The defending champs. It's going to be hard to stop them. Last time we played them well. We only lost by 2, but still, like, you never know what's going to happen. One of our guys could go on a cold streak or have a really tough shooting night. Like, we don't know.
Right. Yeah, definitely. This week I've seen some criticism, especially after last night's loss, on your guys' coach. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think James Borrego's the right guy. I honestly do. He came from the Popovich system. He's a hard-nosed coach. He expects the best from each and every one of his players. I don't think it's the coach's fault personally. I think the only thing I have to criticize about the Hornets right now is our big man play. Plumlee's not the long-term answer. Like I said last week, I would love for us somehow, I don't know how, to trade for like either Miles Turner or Domantas Sabonis, because I know those two are available. We'd probably have to move like maybe a first rounder, a second rounder, and like PJ Washington or another role player. But like, I don't think Borrego's the problem. I just think that as much as I love LaMelo Ball, sometimes he takes some really errant shots just to see if he has it or not. Like he can make threes, but sometimes you just shoots them to shoot them. It's kind of like, and I get it, he's a young player, but like you need to learn how to control that. And then Plumlee is like Cody Zeller of the past. Like you need to learn how to back down your defender, not just like settle for like 5-footers. Like you need to body your defender like the old days, like in the 80s and the 90s.
Definitely more aggressive in the lane, and especially for that size. So yeah,
Exactly,
I definitely agree.
right.
Definitely agree. Well, you're one of the few people that I've heard that actually thinks that your coach is the right guy for the job. Well, good luck on your games this week, and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Well, you guys can find me here on Monday nights covering the Charlotte Hornets. You can find me on Wednesday nights, or Thursday nights, sorry, with the Sip Off, hosted by Megan Price, Jahan Phillips, and Anthony Brown. And you can also find me on The Gauntlet, hosted by James Taylor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Will. We'll see you next week. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and slide over to our next representative. We have Chris, Couch Coach Powell, covering the Clippers. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Megan, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. How's your week been?
Good.
Awesome. So talk to me about your Clippers and what's going on with them.
Very interesting week. Obviously, started off the week bad with a loss to Brooklyn. Part of their home and home. They went, beat the Lakers on Christmas Day and beat us on the 27th. Then the win against Boston. Boston won that game, and then also went to Toronto, lose. And then the next day go to Brooklyn and win. So it's been almost indicative of the whole entire season, up and down, up and seesaw. And it's just been like that all season long. And you just look at it's all of it. It's fun. This season has really just been, just the tops and turvy of the whole, everything. We got guys, especially like, obviously our injury woes, obviously, no Kawhi, PG's out now for about a month. With that ligament in his elbow. So guys are stepping up. Marcus Morris, he's pretty much been our leading scorer this week, with the exception of the game against Brooklyn. He actually had, I guess you consider that rest or load management per se. So he was a healthy scratch. Eric Bledsoe came into play against Brooklyn, led us with 27 points. Terrence Mann also had 19, and Reggie Jackson had 19 as well. It's just about committing. At this point, the thing that really glares out for me, we have been getting out rebound tremendously, and it's glaring, like especially from an offensive rebounding standpoint. And you look at the box score, you're like, it's like yikes. Like how
And
are we in these games?
who do you feel like that falls on the most? Like, I mean, somebody's got to be underperforming. Is it everybody as a whole, or is there a few people specifically?
The thing is, you would assume that it might just be more production because obviously we look at, especially from a scoring perspective, we're getting the scores. So we get guys that are actually back committed who are stepping up as far as from the scoring load. But like you said, rebounding load, it's been abysmal. You'll look, especially from the offensive rebound standpoint, you're like, how is this even possible? And we've had, sporadic bench play, guys, just out of nowhere. We had a guy, Keon Johnson. I think the last Monday, he put up 15 points off the bench. Justice Winslow, another guy who I think, one that we can, especially early on in his career, you definitely thought he would have more of an impact, especially, Miami, Memphis, especially with Memphis, and he comes here. He's been solid. I know the last game against Brooklyn, he had 11 points off the bench. So we've been getting some solid bench play from time to time just to kind of keep us afloat. And just one of those things where can this stay afloat for another month until PG comes back, and then hopefully get Batum back with the next or a while or so. But just more so just riding the ship. It's the dog days of the NBA season and just trying to stay above water at this point.
Absolutely agree. Now that loss to the Raptors to me is kind of sticks out because they're not really a great team this season. Let me see where they're at in the standings. They're at number 10. But their record is surprisingly not much different than you guys. There's a 16 and 17. I think y'all are 19 and 17. So just a testament to the difference in the West versus the East this season. Now, this week we saw a trade happen of somebody who used to be a Clipper. I think he left from the Lakers, but he used to be on your squad last year, Rajon Rondo. Any thoughts on that trade?
I actually like that for them, for Cleveland. And I'm especially with the loss of Ricky Rubio. So almost similar to like what his role should have been with us, kind of just spot up play. We just needed depth at the point guard position. And I think he'll be good, especially in Cleveland, because they have a nice mixture of young talent and veterans. You got guys, especially, and they're the type of veterans that really don't have per se egos at this point. Especially, got a guy like Kevin Love, and then also, Rondo is there as well, and and they just got a nice young nucleus, and especially what they're doing. I definitely think he'll have more of an impact than he did. Because at first, initially, I thought like Atlanta, when he went to Atlanta, he was gonna. I kind of have that expectation of what I thought he was gonna be in Atlanta for this Cleveland team. So I definitely think he's gonna pay big dividends, especially for this team that's fairly young, and he'll be very vital in that if they do make it to the playoffs. I think that's kind of a strategic move at this point to get them kind of acclimated, and that could pay dividends come April, May, as they make and I think they'll make the playoffs. I think Cleveland's really at this point has shown that they can sustain this and actually make the playoffs.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your games that you have coming up this week. You've got the Timberwolves tonight, and they've been a really interesting team, especially over here in the West, where competition has been kind of lacking somewhat. And I think they're in the top 10. I know that. Let me look. They're at number 9, and their record is 16 and 20. So once again, they are below you in the standings, but the record's really not that much different. They have an exciting young player in Anthony Edwards, and we've really seen Karl Anthony Towns come out this season and play really well with this team. He hasn't been injured like that. He hasn't had any bouts with COVID, and just really, to me, as I watch the Timberwolves, I really feel like Anthony Edwards brought this team together. Like he made D'Angelo Russell play better. He made Karl Anthony Towns play better, because it's like, if you're not going to be the leader of the team, there's somebody else who is willing and is just as good. Right. So what do you think that game is going to be like for you guys tonight?
Definitely an interesting game. This is one of those ones where it's weird. The way how the season is, this would in essence be somewhat of a trap game for us, because you look at just from a record perspective. Last time I checked, I'm not sure. I'm thinking no Karl Anthony Towns or D Russell tonight.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's gonna be that's one of those ones where you think it's gonna be an easy win, but it's a trap game. And then other teams that we play this week is one of those, you look at from this could be the game that we could potentially win, but we know how the Clippers operate. The game that you don't think they're gonna that you think they're gonna win, they'll lose. A la like we talked about Toronto. We
Right.
thought should
Yeah.
have been, could have been just and then you go to Brooklyn the next night and win. So
Right.
yeah,
They were like,
so,
hold on, let me get it together. We're about to play a good team. We're not supposed to lose. Speaking of another good team, you guys play the Suns on Thursday, and that's going to be the late game. And that's a home game for Phoenix. So, tough for you guys to go over there. Do you feel like there's a lot of injuries? Okay, so PG's out for a month. What happened with him?
He has a torn ligament in his right elbow.
Ooh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Is it his shooting arm?
It's right. Yeah, right arm,
Okay.
right elbow. My bad. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thoughts for him. Hope he gets well pretty soon. I think that's going to be a tough game for you guys. The Suns, they did have a couple of losses last week,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's something that's going to happen a whole lot this season where we see them have 2 losses in 1 week. Like, I don't think that's we're going to see a whole lot of that.
Yeah. Right. And they're such a good team. They're one of the, like we talked about, a team that's on the verge of, as far as, we look at Golden State as the big story in the Western Conference, but they're like the second best story as far as what they've done so far. And so, another rematch of the Western Conference Finals, but obviously no PG or or Kawhi. But it's just one of those things where, hey, national televised game, just come out and play and to see what happens. So it's this and this will be the game that they'll win and watch. And this will be the game they'll win and watch.
Right. It's super tough and they go ahead and win it. Okay. And so then you also have on Saturday, you have the Grizzlies. And then on Sunday, you have another game. You have the Hawks. So busy week for you guys. Yeah. Now the Hawks are a little low in the standings over in the East, but there's from like the 7th seed to like the 11th seed, they all have really similar records over there in the East. So while they are ranked 11th, they're very similar records as the 7th seed. So they could easily go up in the rankings and be a similar tier team as you guys. Yep. So what do you think about that game with Atlanta? What is that going to be like?
That's another interesting game as well. You look at this Atlanta, they similar to us. They were a team that really no one expected us to make to the conference championship game. And like to me, just pretty much almost like the whole week pretty much is filled with star power. And you got a guy like Trey Young who's been balling. So it's just one of the things. The Hawks is still, even though their record, is what it is, but this time I think they I think it more so if they're just going through the rigors of the season. I think the heightened expectations then coupled with just kind of getting yourself back in the groove. And they're still a formidable team, like you said, and even to a point where, they're a win streak away for potentially not even being in the play-in tournament. So, especially how the logjam in the Eastern Conference is, they could go on a win streak one hot week, could put them, on the other side of the other conference picture. And so, yeah, Atlanta still is a very formidable team.
Most definitely.
Yep.
All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much. And good luck on your games this week. Tell everybody where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live. Also, check out the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify. We're there. Couch Coach Live.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Take care. All right.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and slide over to our next rep. We have Jay Nelson covering the Houston Rockets.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, drama in Houston.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, indeed. I don't think it's as bad as kind of made out to be, but it's very tame compared to what goes on in the NFL world, especially after Sunday. But yeah, I don't think it's a cause of concern or anything like that. But just some misunderstandings, But
Okay, so talk to us and tell us what happened. It was Kevin Porter Jr. and it was Christian Wood.
It
So
was Christian
Christian
Wood.
Wood, basically his team. So this is, I think, just that involving him is kind of serious.
Right. So basically what happened was Kevin Porter Jr. Had gotten into it with assistant coach John Lucas in the locker room. It wasn't explicitly said what was stated, but KPJ threw an object at him and then stormed out. And then Christian Wood had gotten involved. Both of them have been suspended for tonight's game. They both will be back Wednesday versus Washington. Head coach Stephen Silas has come out and said that, KPJ is young. He'll learn from this. So will Christian Wood and whatnot. I view it, and I know I sound like I'm playing damage control here, but I view it as a misunderstanding and a miscommunication. Emotions run high. You know how it goes in these locker rooms at times, especially behind closed doors and such. And I'm sure all parties have talked everything out and such. And they're young. What young player hadn't had a spout or two to some degree?
I'll say this, and I kind of feel like it's the same thing with Antonio Brown. Like we've seen instances. We saw Tom Brady throw the tablet this season out of frustration, right? We saw Diana Taurasi beat up a door after losing the finals. We've seen people get emotional, and personally, I will say that I want to see emotion from somebody who's on my team, because that shows me that they care about winning and they care about being there. And that's absolutely something that I want out of someone who's on my team. But if you're not DT, the GOAT, or Tom Brady, the GOAT,
or LeBron, or
you got 7 rings to back it up, maybe don't throw the object at your coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're at the end of the day, you got a lot of talent. And the thing about it is, and we've talked about this on other episodes, this is not just them two. Everybody's really raw. They're really raw right now. They need refining, but part of that refining is discipline. You see,
right? Absolutely true.
So,
and I'm glad that it's Stephen Silas who's there. I know I've seen some people who have criticized Silas and your squad over there, but I do think Silas is probably the right person for the team you have now, even though he was hired to be coaching a completely different roster. He was supposed to have Boogie Cousins, he was supposed to have John Wall, he was supposed to have Harden. That's not the team that he was hired to coach, but things change. Here he is. He's kind of a hard-nosed coach, and he's having to coach a whole bunch of young players. So, who else would you really want for something like that? You don't want somebody who's going to placate them,
Right. Absolutely. We talk about coaches who are player coaches. Everybody's familiar with that term. Now, being a player coach both has its pros and its cons.
Right.
Like most other things, but with that being said, the con with being a player's coach is the players are easily in a position to where they can walk over you. Silas is not that,
Right.
And even if he is, you can't tell, because it's like, okay, yeah, I do have a relationship with my players, but at the end of the day, business is business.
Right.
Nobody's going to be above the team. And I like that out of him. I really do.
When I was in school, I had a teacher that everyone said, oh, she's super hard. You're not going to like her. And I got in there and she's one of my favorite teachers. And her class was not easy. I'll say that. It was not easy. It was very structured. She was very serious about, what she taught. But I felt like I learned the most out of that situation. So there's times when discipline and structure is exactly what the situation needs. And I think there's a high for that.
And that's what Stephen Silas said. He said he's going to learn from this. You know what I mean? It's crazy how you bring that up, because, when we were younger, whenever we saw people, throwing challenges at us, our immediate thought is, oh, well, they're trying to screw us over. They don't care about us,
Right.
But, as you get older, you kind of realize, yeah, we want them to be strict. We want them to be tough. We respect them for it. Just be fair. That's all that we
Right.
ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. So getting to your games this week, you guys played the Lakers on Tuesday, and it was a decently close game. It's 132 to 123, with the Lakers coming out on top. And then you guys played the Miami Heat. It was 120 to 110. And then you guys played the Nuggets on Saturday, 124 to 111. So now that the Nuggets game looks like you guys, that was the biggest deficit right there. But the other games looked like they were pretty decently close. So what were your thoughts on that?
They were pretty winnable. I will say, as far as the Lakers game, if we were playing anybody other than King James, we would have won that game. Christian Wood had 22 points and 6 rebounds. KPJ had 22 and 9. Green had 24 and 4. Green's coming back real nice post-injury. 3 players had double figures off the bench. If we play any other team, we win that game.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Definitely agree. Now, in that Miami game, what were your thoughts on that? Because that's a team that's pretty tough. You know, they're in the top 4 over there in the East. And so just a team that you definitely are going to see in the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this is one thing that I am taking out of these losses with the Rockets is they actually are hanging with teams who are in the seeding in each conference, you know. So this gives me optimism for next season of us taking that next step, because you would think like a team like the Rockets, we're supposed to be getting blown out by all those guys, and here we are keeping it close.
Right. Right, absolutely. And, you know, while you guys are in 15th, I want to say, you know, the other team that's in 15th in the other conference is the Pistons, and y'all have twice as many wins as them. So, you know, I mean, and when you're in single digit wins like Detroit, that's not exactly hard to do. But, you know, I guess to me, that shows a little promise over there. If the draft were today, what was an area you would want to draft for?
Okay. If the draft were today,
not necessarily like a specific player, but maybe the position or the area that you think needs to be addressed.
I would get one more big man, but I would get a big man like an Embiid type, you know, like they can shoot.
Okay.
You know, because right now we got board crashers, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because we got the guards to back it up, you know. But I would like one versatile player, you know, like a today's player. Because don't get me wrong, we're going back to like the old, and you know they're young. That's the only thing, is they need the experience, you know. But I would like one versatile player, someone that can crash the boards, play defense, and also shoot the jumper as well, and do more than just play down low. I would like to see one player that we can get out of the draft that can do that. That would absolutely round us out. Absolutely.
Okay. And if there was anybody that out of the free agents or people that you know are on the trading block at the moment, like what's going on over in Indiana, is there anybody that kind of piques your interest that would fit well with Houston?
As long as we don't get Ben Simmons, I'll pretty much give anyone a shot.
Okay, but I mean, he's a decent facilitator and he's an excellent defensive player, but you think you need more shooting?
Sorry, I need guts on my team. He don't got it.
I dig it. No, I can dig that. Because there's Miles Turner's looking like he might be available. Caris LeVert, who just had a huge game, 27 points, is going to be available. Sabonis is supposedly on the trading block. You know, there's, you know, because you have John Wall available for trade. So you have some leverage going into this. I mean, his contract has some issues, but you guys have some leverage. Like, you're not going to just take a complete loss on John Wall.
Right, absolutely. And I know John Wall has actually been doing, you know, pretty decent, a little more than decent post-injury and whatnot. Sabonis, I would like to have on my squad. If anything, for nostalgia's reasons, because I was a low-key fan of his dad watching him.
Right.
You know, Caris LeVert, actually, we were looking at one point in time. Kind of wish we kept him, but it would be awesome if Houston could land him. You know, so and then Miles Turner. Oh yeah, Miles Turner. Shoot,
that's who I went on San Antonio.
That might be the missing piece.
Yeah, same. Because he's so versatile, like you said. Like, he's huge, but I mean, he's just so versatile with it. So he is a board crasher. He is a hot shooter. He plays defense, all that. Like, he's real versatile. I like him a lot. So well, good luck on your games this week. Hold on, let me see. Who are y'all playing this week?
We're at Philly tonight. Last I checked, we were up 1 at halftime. I'm sure it's third quarter now.
Oh, it is. It's 91-81 with 4 minutes left in the third. Then you guys play the Wizards on Wednesday, the Mavericks on Friday, and then the Timberwolves on Sunday. So busy week for you guys. And then you follow up next Monday and play the Sixers again, except it'll be a home game for you guys. Let's see, you play the Wizards game is a away game, and then the rest of your games this week are at home. Thoughts on the Mavericks game? Because you know how the Texas games always are.
Right. Texas games are always tough. I know that the Mavericks have kind of semi been exposed. They have defensive woes, and that's being put out there. If you could pretty much get past Luka, they're beatable. They're not. I don't think they're as well rounded as people necessarily think that. They're still a good team. Don't get me wrong, they are. I just don't think they are as well rounded as advertised. I think people kind of attributed Luka to the whole team. In which, in a game of basketball, I can see how that's easier. Look at guys like Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. If they're on your team, then the whole team must be good, right?
Right.
You know. But no, I'm not overlooking them. I think it should be a good game, but I think it's a winnable game though. It's because Texas games, they can go either way.
Right. Yeah.
And then who was it? The Wizards. The Wizards game should be a tough one. Kuzma is doing. It's something about these ex-Lakers when they get away from LeBron, they start to shine just a little bit brighter.
And he still has his games where he's inconsistent, but he's had more games where he's played up to his potential this season than he did last season with the Lakers. So I think he needs some good coaching, and I'm surprised at how well the Wizards coach is doing in his rookie season as a coach. So interesting. Washington's real interesting to me, and then the Timberwolves are real interesting to me too. Another one who's coach, and then their GM is brand new also. But it's like Anthony Edwards went up to Minnesota and everybody got put on notice. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be your team, Kat. Like, there's somebody else who's just as good.
That's just as good, yes. But if they can ultimately find a way to coexist, you might be looking at a new tandem in that no one's going to pay attention to at first because it's the Timberwolves.
Right,
but when they start making noise, then the media has no choice but to pay attention.
Absolutely. And if you haven't ever listened to one of Anthony Edwards' interviews, they're golden. Every single one of them. He always has something funny to say.
Check that out. I definitely have to check that out. But I know the Timberwolves game will be tough because it's Cat and Anthony Edwards. There was actually a poll about 2 seasons ago, and it was like Cat, LeBron, and like 2 others. And the majority of owners said that if they were starting a franchise over again, they would want Cat to build their team around.
I think he has since underperformed, in my opinion. But this season, he has really great numbers. Like, they're undeniable. And I'm not necessarily – I don't like to sugarcoat it when it comes to him because I feel like he's not quite aggressive enough. I feel the same way about Anthony Davis. Like, there's just something about them that's just not quite aggressive enough. They're super talented. Right. Beyond talented, but I need you to be a little more aggressive. And I kind of see Anthony Edwards bringing that out of Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know if he would be able to do that somewhere else.
Right. I mean, and you know what? You just got to give that team a chance, give that tandem a chance, and see what comes of it. Is Cat, because as of right now, regardless, it's still Cat's team. But is he going to get the message, or is he going to be above the law? And you know what happens when generally they think they're above the law.
Absolutely. Well, good luck on your games this week, Jay. Let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
All right. Just to keep it short, NBA Carousel Monday nights. Sip Off. I'll be on this Thursday. I'll show my face on there and whatnot. That's hosted by Megan Price, Anthony Brown, and John Phillips. Also, Sports Gauntlet. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there most definitely because following that is the Cowboys-Eagles game, and we're trying to catch that. So y'all hurry up and see the show, and then we're going to watch the game. And also Visual Dramatics on Roku. Check your boy out. Shout out Craig Davis, Marshall Hill, Bunker Visual Kings fam. One love. See y'all next week.
Thanks, Jay. All right, guys, we're going to slide over to our next representative. We have Detroit Dom covering the Pistons.
Yo.
Hey, Dom. How are you?
I'm excellent. You?
Okay, so I guess you're looking for it already. I got to give you a good game. You guys beat us in overtime, and we are your 1 win of the week. So good game, sir. Excellent game.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. I'm not as sore loser as sometimes I portray. I'm just emotional. So talk to me about your team other than the Spurs game.
Earlier in the week, we lost to the Knicks. It was just an ugly game. Poor shooting from both teams. 63 of our 85 points came from 2 players, Hamidou Diallo and Sadiq Bey. That's never a good thing. Free throws were the difference. The Knicks made 24. We made 13. I did not see a single play of either game, I am ashamed to say. Saturday, I was dead and buried by the time that basketball game came on. Like I finished the gauntlet and literally went pretty much straight to bed.
Well, you know what? Sometimes when you are, what's your record? Let me look here.
8. We got 8 wins.
No, you got 6 wins and 28 losses. So,
that's yes.
Okay, if you miss a few games, it's probably okay. But then, so you talk about Diallo. You know, we've seen that he's had like 30 plus points for the last 3 games. Is this just right? Do you think this is just underproduction from others, or do you think this is that you have so many players out?
I think it's a little bit of both. He definitely got his chance to shine with so many people being hurt. And then I noticed I'm watching the game against the Bucks right now. Cade and Killian Hayes are both back. So now it's I mean, Diallo still started, but clearly at this point he's further down the pecking order for field goal attempts. So I don't know what happened. Honestly, at this point, like between the blowout losses and the close losses and people being hurt, like I feel so sorry for Coach Casey.
Right.
Like just about every time he thinks he's maybe got some sort of rotation figured out, multiple players get hurt. And then guys start to shine, and then guys come back, and he's like, what do I do? We've got there's a boatload for being a 6-win team and being the worst team in the league winning percentage wise. We've got a boatload of talent on this team.
No, I absolutely agree. You know, there's several young players on your team that I really like a lot, and I say this every week that you're on. Currently, you guys are up 43-38 against the Bucks, but it's like 7.5 minutes left into the second quarter, so still tons of time. I anticipate the Bucks to do Bucks things. Giannis is in the game. He's got the high score at the moment with 13 points. And then for you guys, Bay has 11 points and Lyles has 9 points. And then Jackson has 10. So I'm pretty spread about right there with you guys.
We're hanging around. I sincerely doubt we'll win. But I'm actually, oddly enough, considering Monday Night Football is on as well, I'm more interested in this Pistons game than I am Monday Night Football.
Well, the Monday Night Football game is atrocious. It might be Ben Roethlisberger's last game. So who knows? It's
fine. Everyone, most of all Pittsburgh fans are ready to turn the page on Big Ben.
Absolutely. You know, when it's time, it's time. So this week coming up, you guys play the Hornets on Wednesday, play the Grizzlies on Thursday. Both of those are on the road. Then you finish up Saturday, you play Orlando, and that's a home game. Monday, you play the Jazz. That's also a home game for you guys. So Grizzlies, that's going to be a tough game. They've really been shining with or without some of their stars. So obviously their bench depth is a little better than anticipated this season.
I love Ja Morant. I love him.
I really do. He's just so exciting to watch. He's just one of those players like, you know, I'm not just a outrageous Steph fan, but you have to admit his game is just something special to watch, you know? And I feel that about Ja Morant. Like he's only been in the league a few seasons, and I really feel like he's just somebody that's special and exciting to watch. And I really enjoy watching him play.
He's sweet. He put people on notice in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, he did. Definitely. And then the Hornets game, I mean, obviously Orlando's going to be your most winnable game of the week. I mean, just because of the tier team that they are. But the Hornets game is kind of interesting too. Just the fashion in which they got beat last night by the Suns. Like they just have the ability to drop the ball sometimes, literally.
They're a young team. I also like LaMelo Ball a lot. He's probably my second favorite young point guard besides Ja. The Hornets for the last several years, they've just had our number. Like even back when they had Kemba, they own us.
Okay. And then the Monday night game, I expect that to be an annihilation. Utah's really, really good this season.
And it's on the road, and it'll be our fourth game in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Fourth game in like 6 nights.
It's a home game for you guys, actually, but I don't know if that really matters. They're just so good, and they remind me of the Spurs so much. Just their systematic ball. They're not always talked about a whole lot because some of their names. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is a big name. Rudy Gobert is defensive player, reigning defensive player of the year. But you don't always think about them. You think about the Suns are playing really good. You think about the Warriors. Clay's coming back supposedly on Sunday. So there's other news within the league, and not a whole lot of people paying attention. I mean, it's Utah.
Yeah, the Jazz have been the forgotten team in the West for like 4 or 5 years now, but they've made a playoff run almost every one of those years.
Right. They just have not, haven't had anything come to fruition with all that talent that they have as far as the postseason. Like they do really well during the regular season, and I'm not sure why they're not built for the postseason.
That's like the old school Jazz with Malone and Stockton.
Yeah, right. When the tickets were like $5.75 a piece.
All those regular season wins and no rings.
Oh, that's tough. That's super tough. All right. Well, good luck on your games this week, and let everybody know where they can find you and where they can follow you.
You can find me here on Mondays, the NBA Carousel, hosted by you. Thursdays, Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel. I believe this week is the season finale, correct?
Yes, it is the final one.
8 o'clock. Fridays, We Are Lions Nation podcast, and Saturdays, 7 o'clock, Gauntlet podcast, now being sponsored by Sideline Sports. Thank you, JB Ellis. Hosted by James Tatum, myself, Tyler Ingram, and Jay Nelson. Tune in. Call it a NFL pregame show.
NFL pregame
for the Cowboys
show.
game.
And a little bit of news on that. Dak was quoted as saying he will be playing next week, period. So interesting, not interesting. I don't know. As a fan, I would prefer he sits. If we hope to have any, which I don't have a whole lot of postseason hopes for us now, seeding wise, because if we would have got the number 2 seed, it would have been completely different. But
is your seed locked out?
I don't think so yet, but it's looking like we're going to get the 4th seed. So Rams or Cardinals?
Oh, you can't beat the Cardinals, and I don't think you can beat the Rams.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and obviously, it's obviously going to be tough. And I think if we actually matched up with the Cardinals again, we might be able to win, just because of, I don't know, just the energy of coming off a loss. But
it's harder to lose to a team 2 times in a row than beat them 2 times in a row.
Right, and we'll still have a higher seed, so it'll still be in Jerry World. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but. Anyway, and it should be an interesting game because Philly is made it into the playoffs. So, we'll see. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dom. We'll see you next week. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and bring on our producer and ethics representative for a few minutes. Hey, Jen. You're muted.
I'm a great producer. I mute myself.
No, we all
cut you off there. I didn't mean to, my friend. Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, so your Celtics are coming off a huge win yesterday against the Hornets. Yes. It was a major blowout. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, Jalen only dropped 50 points, so it was kind of a so-so game. Come on, Jalen. Where's the 60 we're used to? No, that was absolutely fantastic. What a game for him. That was really fun to watch. That was, new classic basketball for the Celtics, which I love to see. I mean, I know we're 9th overall in the Eastern, but that's okay. I'll still take it. I did not think we would go that far in the playoffs if we went far at all this year. It's a building year. But yesterday was pretty great. And I'm sorry, I'm working on 2 computers right now. So, but we had Jalen with 50 points. We had 11 rebounds. We had Marcus Smart with 7 assists. Williams with 2 steals. like we were looking pretty good against the Magic yesterday, so I'm pretty proud of them.
Absolutely.
And they, there's just going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot to go forward, so I'm pretty excited for them. Sorry, my eyes keep diverting from the computer.
No, you're fine. The game before that, you guys played the Suns and came out with a pretty big win, 123-108. That's huge considering how good the Suns are, and you guys beat them by that amount of points. That's huge.
Exactly.
And then the game before that, you guys actually dropped a game to the Clippers. It was 91-82. Looks like it was a tough game. Like probably bad shooting, high defensive. There's not a whole lot of scores. It's not a high scoring game. And then
I hate to say that Jalen had a bad game when he's scoring 30 points, but
that's crazy. Yeah.
We expect more out of him, right? So there is
more out of the rest of the team.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of the team needs to step up. One man cannot win a game.
Absolutely.
Truly.
And what's going on with Jason? Is he in the rotation as well? He's usually, the Batman and Robin for.
I haven't. You know what? I was wondering that too. I haven't really heard anything. I feel like he was on the COVID list.
Oh, okay.
I may be wrong on that.
I definitely don't see him in the lineup, but we did. In that Suns game, we actually saw a sighting from one of the ones you and I both like with Pritchard, who had 11 points coming off the bench. So that's pretty big. I enjoy seeing him over there also. So coming up, you guys play us next, actually, the San Antonio Spurs on Wednesday. Then you play the Knicks on Thursday, the Knicks again on Saturday. The first game is going to be in New York. The second game is going to be in Boston. And then you finish out your week on next Monday playing the Pacers. So a little East Coast ball for you guys once you get past the Spurs. But let's talk about the Spurs real quick. What do you think your game plan is for that game? Because it's always one that you and I we kind of circle on our calendars when we see each other coming up, because it always seems to be a really competitive game.
It's a very competitive game, and they play to each other's skill set.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like unless Brown goes off again, I think it'll be who has the last ball. To be perfectly honest with you, just because I feel like that's just how they gel, and that game hasn't happened yet this season. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we're due that game, and we're going to know if we're talking the next day or not. So,
right. I feel that. And then you follow up with that back-to-back with the Knicks right there. Each one of y'all getting a home game in that back-to-back. And in the standings, the Knicks are right. Oh, they're a couple below y'all. You guys are at number 9, and you're right below 500 with 18 wins, 19 losses. Mm-hmm. And the Knicks have a similar record with 17 wins and 20 losses. So similar to your team. What do you think is going to happen with that series?
I think Kemba's going to go off on at least one of those.
Okay.
I really do.
Right.
He's been going off. They had him, as we all know. And I think he will come, and he's been coming back with a vengeance.
Right.
And I think this will be one of those games that he definitely tries to come back with a vengeance on. I'm not sure which one. I would not be surprised if it's the when are they playing here? Okay, we're playing the Knicks at home on Saturday. So I think that's when he's gonna go off. I mean, I think he'll have a good game on Thursday. I think Brown's going to have a better game Thursday, but that's just me. But he's on a hot streak right now, too. So,
Ever since he got his tooth knocked out.
I know, right?
That was such a wild play, your tooth knocked out by your teammate. But it happens, obviously. Weird stuff, weird injuries happen. So that was just one of those strange ones. But he's definitely... He's been on fire. And I want to say, I think I heard that Jason was on the COVID list as well. So, hopefully he's able to come back fully healthy. And good luck on your games this week.
Thank you. Good luck to you too.
Absolutely. And I will. Wednesday. You said what?
Except Wednesday.
Right, yeah, no. On Wednesday. Like, are we friends today? Yes.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Jen, and we will see you back next week if you're able to come on. I know you will most likely be producing, but if you decide to hop on and talk about your team.
Anytime.
All right, thanks, Jen. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week's NBA Carousel. A quick reminder that it's a Sideline Sports Network production, proudly sponsored by Score No Score app, available for download in Apple and Google Play Store. It's also sponsored by Manscaped. And check out the Inscriber online magazine, where you can get all your culture, technology, and sports news provided by Sideline Sports. Thanks, guys.